Okay. Hello. This week, we worked on recovering a sense of possibility. I struggled with that one, but it was a chill week. Besides that, like it was more of a mental struggle, but not that much. It was not like, oh, I'm dreading it. No, it was the exercises were fun actually. Um, I kind of it's if you grew up poor, you would probably, when you start making money, you start spending it on things that your inner child wanted to have as a kid and you couldn't. And that's for me is books and clothes. I really like fashion, so um, I began for a while like buy myself like stuff like this, like things that represent me and my style, and I've been trying to figure out my style for a while. So I'm becoming more open to spoiling myself and taking care of myself and books and stuff. And so I'm not necessarily depriving myself of a lot of stuff, because there's every time I buy something for myself, I always think, oh, I could send that money to my family, or I can help out a family in Palestine. And yes, that is true. But then I also can take care of myself, and I'm very grateful, and I thank God for all of that, obviously. It's very hard to see people struggling, but also we know that God won't give you anything you can't carry. So if I think if God thinks this is how much I can carry, I'll have to take their word for it. And I'm not maybe meant to carry more and others are, which sounds cruel, and I don't like that. That's not me at all. I think this week I've thought a lot about how unfair the world is to my people and people in general. And I've had a lot of meaningful conversations with my close friends and loved ones about capitalism, about democracy, about human rights, about all that kind of stuff, education and education systems. And it's been a very soul-filling, mentally filling week of very deep, good conversations. And I like those kind of conversations so much that maybe I've had some ideas. Call it synchronicity, call it whatever. I've had some ideas to make videos about that, because and my boyfriend told me that, and I was thinking about it before, but he was like, you should probably do essay videos because you have a lot to say about the world. Negative, positive. You have opinions, you have the knowledge, because I love reading politics. And I think this week also, because of reading deprivation, I kind of recalibrated because I was reading whatever. And I do like fantasy, but I learned that I like fantasy for the politics aspect. I do not like romance in it. I'm not being a pick-me. I just really can't follow up with romance. Although like some books I read have like a romance aspect in it, but I don't know why. It just turns me off, because I'm like, okay, get it over with this romantic scene, because I need to know what's happening in the parliament in that fantasy world or whatever. And so I also went back to reading nonfiction about politics and realizing that I do have a lot of opinions and I do have a lot of knowledge, and it's so fun. I like that. If somebody has a conversation with me, most likely they're gonna think that I'm being very negative or angry at the world, but I like these kind of conversations. So this week, I feel like I'm in my element of this is who I am. I am a very political person. I love politics. I love talking about it. And I don't like when people say they don't care about politics, because how can you not? When you live in this world, you have to know, you have to care. And so I'm not gonna, I think like being in educational institutions and living abroad as an Arab, I was taught to shut up, and I don't want to I think I have a valuable opinion, and if nobody wants to hear it and my video gets 1-2 views, I don't care. I just want to get my voice out there, because if even when I make videos like these about the artist way and I talk about myself, I feel a release. I feel like I've done something. I know there are people out there who think that the ultimate goal, the thing that's going to fulfill them in the end, is to have a kid or start a family. That is not what I feel. I feel like I have this feeling, but towards getting my voice out there, making a difference. In my like morning pages, what I mainly write now is I'm gonna start a revolution or I'm gonna change the world. How? I don't know. How? I honestly don't care how. I'm just gonna try my best to be myself and say what I have to say, because whether it's important or not, I feel like it's important. I feel like I have to say it, so I'm gonna say it. So that's this week. It kind of like awakened my true self, and it didn't feel like a stranger at all, because as a kid I was always political. I was always fighting the school system or something I see that is unfair, and all the school principals that I've had, they call my mom and they tell her, your kid is causing an uprising or something in the school, and my mom's like, is she wrong? And they're like, no, but that would cause problems. And eventually I hope I make some change after I leave every school I'm in, but it's just on a smaller scale. I've always been like that. I've always been political. And one incident that I remember, I don't even remember, I think my dad told me about it, is that I was like poking an uncle for a solid minute or so, and he was trying to brush me off, so he gives me what is an equivalent in Lebanese as $1 almost, and I throw it to the ground. I'm like, I don't want it. I want you to listen to me when I sing and dance. And that is a representation of who I am. That encompasses everything that I am, which is I don't value thriving for money, the rat race, all that. I don't care. I feel like some people may call it stupid that I don't value money and I value my art, but that's who I am. I'm not gonna change it. So let's go to the check-in. How many days did you do your morning pages? Every day, even if it's not like directly in the morning. Are you starting to like them at all? Some days I had nothing to say, so I just wrote that I had nothing to say, or I was bored. I was bored of the thought of it, but I kept going. And some days I wrote some things that I'm like, oh, maybe that should be posted somewhere, or maybe I should elaborate on that topic more, or maybe I should make a video about it. So any half-truth points? Well, I did kind of work on what's the payoff of being blocked and the person I blame for being blocked, and that kind of what awakened my revolutionary, rebellious part, because the person I blame is the world, and not in like, oh, the world is against me. Oh no, it's just if you recite the last 10 years of my life, you would make sense that I ended up where I ended up, and it doesn't look like a failure, it looks like a success story. But if you don't, you'd look at that and you're like, oh, I wasted 10 years and the dream was the same and I didn't get to it. Yeah, that looks sad. But because I was looking at it in detail with empathy, I realized that it makes sense where I am. If 10 years ago me met me right now, she'd be like, this is cool. You did what we wanted to do. Now let's go on to step 2, task number 2. Nothing necessarily that we're behind or anything like that. I blame some governments. I blame maybe the world for treating Arabs the way they do. I blame, and I do blame some choices, but I also don't, because I was a kid. I blame the lack of mentorship. I can't even necessarily blame my parents, because I know that they were trying to protect me. So that was interesting to look at. The payoff of being blocked, literally nothing other than comfort. And I faced that. I looked into that and I'm like, I'm comfortable. I know this fear. I know this feeling of, oh, woe is me. It's comfortable. I know that it's predictable. the pain is predictable. When I try to do it, the pain is unpredictable. Also, that kind of unlocked the fact that I do believe I'm gonna make it, and I'm scared of that. I'm scared of achieving my goal, and then what? Achieving my goal, and then, okay, what am I gonna do with my life? Or who am I? So like, I don't know how I will feel, but after writing that down, it kind of like went away, and I started like, I have to do it. I have no choice but to do it. Did you do your artist date? Yay! I went to the movies. Finally went to the movies. We finally did it. I went and watched Project Hail Mary. I did want to read the book, but I'm not a big sci-fi person. But I did want to read the book. But I thought, watch the movie first. If you felt like the story is something you can get into, you can read the book. And my boss read the book, and he was like, the science that the person is thinking about is more explained in the book. And I was like, okay, I can read that now. So yeah, that might be my next, my next read. Right now I'm reading The Witcher, the new Witcher book, which I wanted to read for a very long time because I bought it in the summer. But I will read the Sunrise on the Reaping next because I didn't read it. I know, bad me. But I read The Hunger Games, so sue me. So yeah, I'll read Sunrise on the Reaping because the movie's coming out, and I really, really like her writing style. And then I'll probably do Project Hail Mary. I don't know. I might read a classic. I'm a big classics girly. Also, I started looking at Arabic books because that's what I'm more comfortable with. I found a couple Arabic bookstores because I don't want to support Big Corp. I hate them, obviously. So I'd rather support local bookstores instead. Did you experience any synchronicity? That is very funny because in a way I did, of that like explosion of self and self-exploration, and I'm kind of more in tune with myself. I bought clothes that resonate with me. I stopped reading books that don't resonate with me. After reading Deprivation Week, I don't feel like watching TV anymore or being on my phone. It's not fun anymore. Like, it's very minimal right now. Reading is interesting as well, but I'm more into writing. I did a writing workshop today, and it was so fun. I did not expect that I would write. And I was like, okay, I guess we're writing at 10 a.m. in the morning. And I wrote some very interesting things that I was like, oh, I can write. I'm a writer, not just a songwriter. Like, I'm a writer. And it's not even my first language. And I'm like, good job. So that unlocked something else. Conversation about synchronicity. I was having this conversation with my partner, and I was telling him that how I feel like I have something to say. I have something to do. I believe that I'm gonna do it. I know that I'm gonna do it. And he was like, how do you know that? And he's a very scientific person. Not necessarily a censor or someone who would block me, but he's just a very scientific person. And I'm very artistic. He needs to predict and know what's the result. The result is either right or wrong. For me, the result is ambiguous, and it's art. And you can interpret it the way you want. So having a conversation with my partner about synchronicity, he's like, how do you know? How do you believe that? Like, you believe that you're gonna do it. You know that you're gonna do it. How? Like, I can never do that. I'm like, I don't even know, dude. This is happening right now as I'm doing this journey. I feel like I'm more in tune with myself. I feel like I was this, and now back on where I was when I was born. Like, this is who I was. This is who I am. I've always been like this, and now I'm finally back with this track to wherever that track is gonna take me. I was in multiple tracks, tried different tracks, didn't work. That's not my style, not my life, not my journey, not something for me. So to finally click, now I can see that I'm gonna do it. I don't know how. I don't even care how. I don't know. I feel like I'm not meant to worry on where the money's coming from. I'm just gonna receive it. I don't care how. I'm just gonna do it. It's a pretty smooth week other than that. And maybe at some point I get started on working on my EP again. I don't know. I'm just gonna play with it. I'm having fun with it. I have no expectations. But yeah.